Yeah, this is GBP Roast. GBP Roast on your Google business profile. It's about to go down. We roasting NBA. We ain't come to play. 20 years in SEO. JP, Lambo, and Dre bringing facts and guests. Oh yeah, we bring the dopeness. Welcome to the show. Hope your profile don't get roasted.
Hey, what's up, everyone? Happy Hump Day. Welcome to another episode of the GBP Roast Show. We have Pete here with some hair on his face.
I know. Not quite as sexy, but...
All right. Keith is out today, so we have a very special guest today, Brian Kato. Welcome, Brian. Welcome to the show.
Hey, what's up, guys? How are you doing?
Good.
All right, so we want to get... Today we'll be covering negative SEO for local. Is that correct, guys?
Yep.
Bum, bum, bum.
All right. Love it. Love the topic today. And then we will be roasting a pressure washing company later on today. And we have 3 reaction videos. So let's get right into it. So we have some questions from last week. One of the questions was, Jordan, can you still run regular ads for categories that show LSA? They are pushing something called Performance Max campaigns now, just from what I can see.
Yeah, you can still use regular ads. They seem to, depending on the query and where you're located, history, they seem to get pushed down kind of towards the bottom a lot, especially for those ones that are in local service ads. Mm-hmm. I was actually looking at my local area, and I didn't see the ads until like the very bottom of the page for a plumber. So it's still possible, and it's still something that we teach in Trident Rank Method to be able to send some traffic to your maps. Some categories are going to be a little bit more difficult, especially when you start getting into like things like garage door and locksmith, because they require they require something called advanced verification, where you have to go through like a video verification process to get approved to run the ads. Mm-hmm. But all in all, they're really making a push for those local service ads. A lot of times you'll start seeing them showing up in the map pack too. They'll show maybe one in there, and then the ads will kind of show right below that. But it's still possible. That Performance Max, they're really trying to push ads to show up in every single platform, Gmail, display ads and things like that. So it's just a way for them to get more ad revenue.
Love it. Anything to add to that, Brian? Anything with do you do any local search ads yourself?
Yeah, actually, so speaking of Trident Rank Method, like I know JP taught that a while ago, and it's become a part of our staple SOP as far as running ads to the business profile. In all honesty, I don't think you can go without having some kind of ad for traffic. So it's a staple part, and I would agree with JP that like a lot of what I'm seeing is PMax. They're trying to just like, that's the one that they're trying to push people into, right? So, yeah,
you can definitely get a lot of junk traffic when it comes to Performance Max.
Yeah,
and I've had some arguments even with some of these Google specialists that want to talk to you. I was like, I recorded one of the conversations they posted on LinkedIn. I'm like, listen to what they're telling me to do. This is like horrible advice.
Come on, Dre, like throw it all in broad match. Like you don't do that.
All right. We have one more question from last week, Jordan. It was around having multiple GBPs when they don't want multiple GBPs. They have one company has one actual dedicated GBP, but 2 others or something are showing up. How can someone get rid of the other 2?
A lot of that is also depending on if you have 2 brands kind of showing up even in the same state or general area. A lot of times Google will even show kind of what they think is a prominent brand. That's usually a factor of maybe they're just getting more traffic and more engagement on that listing. They have more reviews, or they even have reviews. On the flip side too, you may find a listing that doesn't even have reviews, but for some reason they're still showing up. A lot of that is a branding issue, getting on directories and things like that, and actually having everything tied into that specific location. So if you do a brand search, sometimes it makes it a little bit difficult to choose which one you want to show up in the knowledge panel. Unfortunately, you don't really get to choose that, but there are ways that you can force it to be able to things like sending traffic and doing more branding and things like that. But more engagement is what's going to really decipher which brand is actually showing up, especially on something that's in the same city. Because look at Starbucks, for example. I mean, Starbucks, they have 100 locations even in the same city. So how do they know which one's they're gonna choose as well? So it really comes down to branding. Unfortunately, you can't choose like, oh, this one has 10 5-star reviews. This one has 10 1-star reviews. Obviously you want the one with the 5-star of the show, right? But you don't get to choose that. So
Are you able to like at least combine it in one search dashboard? Is that a case that you can?
if you want to, you can merge things together, but that usually the best thing to do is if you just don't even want that anymore, is just to mark it closed and close out the listing if you don't even want it to show up anymore. Which from there, it looks like you had a location where the address was showing and another location where the address was actually hidden. So, and the address that was showing had 0 reviews. Again, a listing usually by default, when the address is showing, is probably going to show up, even by default, even though you do have another listing that seems stronger, that service-ready business may still pop up.
Yeah, and Google's doing some really weird stuff right now. I've seen some legit businesses, like their listing gets shut down and then Google props up like a second identical listing to what was just shut down. Like there's a lot of really weird stuff, and so I'm kind of treading lightly on any edits or changes that we're doing to GBPs right now.
Got it. So, okay, that makes sense. So we had a question or comment here. I do only lead calls for a local contractor, and I leave phrase match and search only. They constantly are pushing broad, but I feel like I need to keep it phrase and search only. Is that what you?
Absolutely.
Yeah, don't use broad match.
Got it. All right, that's the end for this week's questions. I want to go into our
reactions. Here we go.
Uh-oh. How can we make JP mad? Roll his eyes and...
Yeah, for sure. So category selection is incredibly important. It's one of the most weighted factors that's going to influence how you show up in those map pack search results. So there are 10 slots available. It doesn't mean you need to fill or have to fill all 10. There are tons of businesses out there in the world that can only select 1 or 2 because those are the only appropriate categories to choose. So when you're selecting these categories, you want to be as specific as possible. For instance, there is a category for store. That's the most generic thing you could choose. You probably shouldn't put that as the first category, because your first category, we call it the primary category, that is, according to lots of research, the most influential factor that's going to determine how you rank in the map pack. So the primary category, if you're a restaurant, should be Italian restaurant, or pizza restaurant, or burger restaurant, or whatever those restaurant categories are. That should be it, not just the generic restaurant category.
Thoughts. Brian, want to go?
Yeah, he definitely has some truth to that. So the best way to test that theory is, especially if you do HVAC and plumbing, which is very common for those categories to kind of intertwine. Sometimes they'll add electric in there. Do a keyword search for each one actually in Google Maps and look in the primary category and look at which one is actually showing up. If the category is matching that query, then that's a good sign. Because a lot of times, especially if you do HVAC and you also do air conditioning and plumbing and you want to rank for those, even by just adding that category, it kind of adds in this big bucket of keywords. So there definitely is truth into what Greg is saying. You don't need to fill out 10 categories, and I wouldn't recommend doing that. There's been theories of things start to diminish after you add 4 or 5 categories. I haven't actually seen that, but it's best to add categories for what you actually do. Don't just start putting random things in there.
Yeah, 100%. And
Right.
the other thing is check back occasionally, because those categories do update. So I'll use things like the Plepper tool or things like that to, like, there was one, I've seen several categories pop up occasionally. And so you want to be checking that periodically. I wouldn't say like watch it, every single day or every single month, but check back every couple months, every quarter, see if there's things that are more aligned with your category, because occasionally those things do come up. Psychology, that's one that I've seen where they've branched into several subsets within psychology or within, specific niches.
Got it. That's a good point to point out there. Because, when some people do like a one and done thing, it's good to kind of like go back and check one of the categories, right? Because you mentioned that they do update this every once or so often. So maybe once a year check and see if you have new categories that you fit. Good tip, great tip, great tip. All right, let's get on to our next reaction video. You'll love this one, JP.
It's probably schema crap.
Nah. Oh, come on.
So we have CTR manipulation. There's software for it, but you know what? I've seen so many people get clapped that I don't even want to recommend it. Most natural way is for you to, every time you go to the office, you just search your brand name plus target keyword, like index the barbershop, and then drive over to work. Ask your employees to do the same, but they probably won't, because no one cares about your business like you. So you pretty much have to hold things up. And before you do this, before you drive to work and search a brand name, this is another pro tip for you. Hit the airplane mode and then toggle the airplane mode. So you turn it on and turn it off. What that does is it resets your SIM card, so you get a new IP address every time.
All right, a little gray over there, but what are your thoughts on this CTR? Looks like JP's frozen. Brian, up.
It used to work a lot better than what he's describing, but again, it's kind of a temporary signal. The thing is, if you're doing it, you have to continually do that over and over. And so the airplane thing I have seen work. I mean, you're resetting your IP address, not your SIM card, but that does work. However, it's the thing with CTR manipulation is, again, it can work. I haven't seen a whole lot of people get clapped back at. I have seen a few of them. But the thing with CTR is that you have to consistently do it. That's where things like ads really do come into play, because when you are running ads, you also have the chance to convert. So it's also one of those things that, you know, Google doesn't really like. You're clearly manipulating the algorithm or manipulating signals. Does it work? Yeah, like it can. But it's one of those things that, like, why not have something that actually converts with real people that has the potential to make money as opposed to just artificial signal?
So what are your thoughts of, like, even doing it yourself? Like how you mentioned, like, hey, every time you're going to work or you're going to the office, just search your own directions, and then just, you know, since you're going there anyways, might as well just search your own brand. And
yeah, absolutely. I think that there's diminishing returns on that, though. Does it work to initially, like, give you a quick little boost? It can, but it's not something sustainable. Yeah, it's not sustainable, and at some point, if that's the only signal that you're relying on, it's kind of a one-trick pony, right?
Yeah. Jordan, you love CTR, right?
I love it. Yeah, it's one of my favorite things. No, I mean,
Right.
every little bit helps. I mean, if you have a staff that, you know, they can just say, hey, just, you know, search our brand and just do some driving directions. I mean, every little bit's going to help, but, you know, it's just, don't expect some magical thing to happen, you know, that a lot of people are really pushing out right now.
Got it. In my opinion, the value really comes with how strong the account is with CTR. They want to track your every move. Your every move without history is kind of minimal. So when you said you found some people getting clapped back, Brian, what were they doing? You think they're overdoing something? What you
They're
think
doing stupid shit. Stupid shit. I mean, that's bottom line, is that they were doing stupid stuff, and you know, the bottom line with it is, like, mobile signals way more powerful than desktop signals. And a lot of the times when I'm seeing people, like, really get wrecked when it comes to CTR, they're sending way too many signals way too fast. Like, if you're going to do it, you don't need a lot.
Yeah.
I'll see people that are like, yeah, we're going to drive like 500 clicks to a web, extreme example, but 500 clicks to a website or to the CID or something like that. And that destroys you. You're opening yourself up for a lot of potential penalty, all kinds of issues.
Self-negative SEO.
Right.
There you go. We'll be going into our negative SEO right after this last reaction video. So here goes our last reaction video.
One. quote-unquote SEO hack that few people know about, and I actually kind of lulled at this, is get Google reviews from happy customers. Honestly, it works better than anything else, and I lulled because everybody knows about it. However, the second comment, the comment on this, is 100% for local SEO. I have a client who can't help himself but be a complete dick on the phone. He has completely tarnished his Google Maps rating. We used to be able to rank in the top between positions 1 and 3. He now ranks on page 2. I've done audit after audit, and we have concluded it is his Maps reviews. So bad reviews on Google Maps, way worse than a lot of people realize. Get great Google Maps reviews. Have your friends leave you good reviews. Have your family leave you good reviews. Have that the weird stranger on the street take out his phone and just be like, hey, I'm going to write myself a nice review really fast with your phone. I hope you don't mind. Get those good reviews.
All right, first part to this video here is the negative reviews. Do you think that hurts your rankings?
I think the first part, like JP said, is the microphone and the fuzzy thing going on at the end, the tarantula. No, there's a lot to kind of unpack in this one. Looks like JP's frozen again. Or he's just so angry that he's like statuesque, right?
You got the deadpan going. So,
nice.
So when it comes to negative reviews, you feel that actually hurts a company?
I don't think my experience is negative reviews don't necessarily hurt you. I think reviews in general and the velocity that which you get them is a good signal. Now, if you're getting negative review, I think that there's two kind of components to that. Number one, it's what's going on Google, right? And the kind of effect that would have on your rankings. There's also the CRO component of it. I'm gonna put on my Keith hat. I'm not going to take off my shirt, guys. Sorry. But we'll put on my Keith hat right now, right? So we'll talk CRO from this. And the CRO component of it is that if someone sees shitty reviews and negative reviews on you, typically people will look at the most recent reviews, top rated, lowest rated, right? And so that's really your chance to get in front of people, make sure that you're leaving the best impression, and seeing actually seeing like what the business does, how they respond to the reviews. I think that you can turn a negative into a positive. Someone leaves you a crappy review, you can spin that into a more positive experience. Like, man, that's not typically how we are. We would invite you back in. Let's make this thing right for you. You can do a lot of different damage control mechanisms like that. But I think that with the velocity of negative reviews, like just the fact that you're getting reviews, I think it does help your visibility and your visibility on maps. But again, it comes down to the CRO component of it. Like, even if you're highly ranked, do you want to have a negative, a star rating associated with your brand? So, JP.
Yeah, can you hear me? Sorry.
Yep. We can hear you. We got you. I don't have Trey. Oh! Again! I am not getting Trey now. Oh my God.
Oh, sorry.
I was like, did I just hear all audio cut out? Whoa!
I was connected to my wrong Wi-Fi. So.
Oh, there you go, guys. Do you recommend geotagging images?
No, you have a cell phone. Your phone's tag automatically.
Recent tests on Search Engine Land seem to show it helps with service near me.
That guy's full of shit and lying.
All right.
Yeah, so geotagging for GBP, absolutely, like, it's a waste of fucking time. Now, geotagging or putting in your EXIF data for things that are non-GBP, that's a different story, but you're talking apples to oranges, right?
Okay.
You're talking two different mechanisms. A lot of people try and combine the two of them and be like, we're going to geotag for everything, and it's going to do like this big boost. No, that's not how it works.
You see your cell phone's tag automatically. You don't need to go in and edit your EXIF data or anything like that.
All right.
Yeah, Brian's crashing my internet.
Right?
Our internet crash out. Okay.
When
All
you
right,
teach your
let's-
partner cybersecurity, things start to happen.
All right. Let's get into our topic of today, which is negative SEO for local. This is a topic that we want to kind of cover with both of you on here. One of the things that we first want to talk about is the types of negative SEO for local SEO. How do you want to?
So yeah, this is
That's
something
attacks.
actually, the reason why I wanted to cover this, well, for one, I'm just seeing more and more things happening over the last couple of months. I actually just had to fix a client site got hacked. Pretty interesting. They didn't update their themes. Pretty simple. They got their theme from Theme Forest WordPress site, and the theme was outdated. And these guys found a pretty creative way to get into some of the theme blocks and insert some links. I mean, it wasn't a huge deal. It wasn't necessarily hurting their traffic per se, but you just never know what access that someone can have by being able to do something like that. That was usually done by some type of cross-site scripting, which is basically inserting JavaScript onto your website, and they can do different functions with it. Another big one too is, since we did talk about reviews, this is probably one of the most popular ones, especially when it comes to local, is people getting blasted with hundreds of one-star reviews from bots, usually competitors or something like that. Usually a pissed off employee is not going to be that creative to do something like that. It's usually someone who knows someone who can build a little script and do something like that. If you watch the last episode, we actually went over some ways to help you remove some of those reviews in case you are getting fake reviews in that case. But it's something that can be very damaging, especially if you looking at the last reaction video. Reviews do make a huge difference, and reviews do have a huge impact on rankings and conversions and things like that. So eventually, if people start seeing these one-star reviews, Google is going to start, putting a negative sentiment towards your business and start demoting you, and that can ultimately definitely hurt you. So unfortunately, something like that, you can't block a way of getting reviews or block getting one-star. It's something you just have to keep on repairing. Usually Google can be pretty good at removing those because they can kind of recognize a pattern of what's going on, but people are definitely getting more creative.
Got it.
Please tell me that theme was not WP Bakery.
It was actually.
God damn it!
We're going to be migrating him over to HTML, but it was WP.
That's one of the most common things I see is people use the theme forest and they're like, well, it's cheap, it's WP Bakery, some cheap shit that we purchased. And I mean, you can get decent stuff off theme forest, but WP Bakery, a lot of times I'll see it where it's either that or the group buys and WP Bakery shit like that. And it's just, you're opening yourself up. Yeah, you saved $150 from a pro license or whatever, or actually a couple $100 from having a website built properly. And this is the big problem that JP and I've seen, with some negative SEO as well, is you're saving yourself $100 on the front end. What's that cost you on the back end, right? Yeah. From damaged reputation to your site being hacked. It's, that's going to have an effect potentially on your rankings. There's all kinds of additional fallout that it's just do the job right the first time. I tell my kids all the time, there's two ways to do shit. You can do it right, or you can do it again. Right?
When it comes to themes, then, what are the most secure themes that you've come across for those? Because you said WP Bakery.
The problem is a lot of it is with these builders, Elementor, DV, WP Bakery, because the way they use their block system to actually put so let's say you want to put an accordion here, it's a block, it's in WordPress or it's in PHP, and then you have another block that is your paragraph, and then you have another block that's a photo. So a lot of the times, if you're not updating the themes pretty frequently, these blocks are basically leaving a wide open space to be able to insert pretty much whatever you want.
Yep.
So it's not even necessary. It can't. In this case, it was the theme, and all we had to do. The way that I found it, I ran through all all the file systems. I ran, through SSH, ran through everything. And then I came to the conclusion that it's either the theme or the builder. So basically what I did is I turned off the theme and put it on like the regular, 2013, whatever it's called, the generic theme for WordPress. I turned that on, and those links disappeared. So then I turned it back on, and then I went back into WP Bakery, looked at everything, scanned it, didn't see anything there. Then I looked at the theme; it hadn't been updated in like 4 years.
Yeah.
So we went back, updated the theme, the links disappeared.
So
just a very simple thing like that can go a long ways. But the problem is, again, it's usually Elementor. Elementor has a lot of cross-site scripting vulnerabilities. WP Bakery, DV, and things like that. Another one too was starts with an A.
Astra.
I think it was Astra, something like that.
Yeah.
But Astra has their own web security systems now too in place. But even then, for me, WordPress can be good if you just, I don't use it anymore. I haven't used it in quite a long time. But if you're going to use it, get something that's more custom, that's actually done correctly in PHP rather than trying to rely on these drag and drop builders.
And if you are using a drag and drop builder, make sure your things are updated, periodically. I mean, think the analogy I give for a lot of my clients is think about it kind of like your phone, right? Your phone's constantly getting security patches, updates, things like that. So whether, it's, your Facebook app, your Instagram app, whatever, you're going to get security patches occasionally. We just call those apps or whatever plugins in WordPress. So as long as you're keeping that stuff updated, you're helping minimize any kind of risk. There's still potential risk, but the idea is minimize it. And, a lot of times also with these, with WordPress and stuff like that, the other security issue that I see is people, instead of taking the time to just custom code or maybe do some CSS or JavaScript, they rely on plugins. We ended up remediating a site that had 47 plugins installed, roughly. And it was like half this stuff was completely unnecessary. It's the plugin to make like a little, hero image, like Revolution slider or something like that. And they weren't even fucking using it.
Yeah.
But it was active.
Yeah, it was active, and it even when they deactivated it, it's like it's still there. And if you're not updating that stuff, you're leaving yourself wide open for security risk.
Got it. All right. There's a ton of other attacks that we can go after. Let's say like backlinks and anchors. What type of attack do you see happening in local SEO when it comes to backlinks?
So the biggest thing you want to pay attention to is the most common misconception about backlink spam is like, oh, I got hit with a bunch of poor links, I'm getting under attack, and blah 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 blah. Which Google does a pretty good job with ignoring those. They're not going to assume that you're a plumber and all of a sudden you're promoting your plumbing business on Pornhub.com, right? So that's probably not going to get any actual referred traffic from that. But if it's something that's obvious, for example, the porn links, the casino links, those are usually pretty ignored. I typically wouldn't. You may see a little dip here and there because you're kind of getting rescored, but eventually Google's gonna be like, you guys aren't doing this, so everything's okay. What you have to pay attention to is when you start getting into entity poisoning, which is people basically trying to destroy your brand. And that's usually can be done via anchor tags. So even though it could be ABC Company or ABC Plumbing, but they attach ABC Plumbing for child porn or something like that, or for casinos, just even by associating something with your brand can also be something that can diminish that. And those links do get scored.
Yep.
And that would be a case where I would probably use a disavow, because that is an actual someone's trying to ruin your anchor text ratio and actually being pretty smart about it. So
interesting.
Yeah, and it's that negative association. So again, like JP's saying, like just throwing a bunch of porn links probably not going to hurt your site. Google's largely going to ignore that. If you're a plumber and you're talking about, OnlyFans model gets her pipes cleaned, blah blah blah. Now it's starting to associate OnlyFans with your plumbing and pipes and things like this. Now it's starting to feel a little bit more like, well, it's plausible you could be a porn site, right? And those are the kind of things that you have to be aware of. Also with entity ambiguation, That's the other thing that I've seen, where they can take, where a bad actor could potentially take and confuse the search engine on who you are, what you do, where you do it, those kind of things that, that really, for good SEO, you would try and align all of that, right? We're this plumbing company in Sacramento and we offer these kinds of services, right? If they start messing with the various kinds of associations there, I have seen that start to change or potentially drift that topic away from what your company actually does into a different field.
Nice. All right. Great. Another an interesting one when it comes to local SEO is you're suggesting edits. When you suggest edits, and people, because I've had that actually happen to me a bunch of times where people have changed my name. I'm curious, what are you guys seeing where this is? Because I don't think it's done negatively. I think it's because I'm adding extra stuff on there, so they're trying to remove some of the stuff. But how can someone do this negatively for someone?
Yeah, I mean, they could do things such as just even adding a category. Sometimes, depending on the level of authorization that they have, keep in mind it doesn't necessarily matter that they're like a level 9 guide. I'm going to make this very clear. Just because you're level 9 doesn't mean you get to go out and do a bunch of like nefarious things. By the way, it has nothing to do with what level you are. But usually in your dashboard you'll get something in orange, like there's been an edit that's usually either suggested by Google or suggested by a user. So you'll get, but the unfortunate thing is you don't get an email notification about it. So it's something that you have to be pretty on point and aware of, making sure when you're logging in, probably a good idea to kind of run through all the edit fields to see if there's anything that's been added in there or changed. Category is a big one. There's very tricky ways to add different categories in there that will completely ruin your entity and brand by disassociating kind of what you do. That's usually one of the probably the most unique ones that I've seen. Obviously, the pretty obvious ones are going to be like your business name. People thinking that you not necessarily even keyword stuffing, but they could also even associate you with something else. And again, a lot of times, most business owners aren't logging into their dashboards every day to see that there was a name change. And unfortunately, too, when you go back in there to change it, sometimes what will happen is your listing will get flagged and suspended. So you're kind of hit with a double whammy, and people know that. So that's another thing you have to be really careful, making sure you have all your documents, in order. Ones that I used to see a lot was phone number changes. I haven't seen this in quite a few years. I haven't seen this probably since like prior to 2015. But people used to edit phone numbers. It was big in lead generation. It was literally a battle. Everybody was doing it. I was doing it. Other people were doing it. It was just the way it is, because in order for you to survive on maps, you had to play that same game back.
Well, most recently it was the map pin thing, right? Where you could basically chuck someone's pin across town, and then if they were to go in and change it through the business, it would immediately suspend.
Yeah, because in the address field, it'll show a little map, and you can actually go in there and move the map pin yourself. But a lot of times when someone would move that and you go in and change that, again, that could also flag that, you getting your listing taken down because you made an address edit. An address edit is a very big field that people, Google doesn't want you to change. So that could also be something. Yeah,
I had a client who actually had to change the address, and I was kind of scared because they already had reviews and everything going on. Luckily, everything was fine. He was able to change it and all the reviews stayed the same, and he just had that default message, your changes may take 10 minutes or so.
There'll be like a red banner that like there's nothing wrong with the address field or something like that. There is a trick to do it, and maybe we can cover some of those on another episode, but there's a trick that you can change the address where it doesn't flag it.
Okay. So we have a question here from the audience. JP, I got a question. One of my sites is ranking top 3 in most of my service locations under locksmith plus city, but end locksmith plus city like second page. Wait, I didn't get that.
What's the question?
Any specific reason is asking. One of my sites is ranking top 3 in most of my service locations under locksmith plus city, but end.
Submit that for a roast. I mean, I would love to dive in, unless you don't want to. Otherwise, you can email me.
There you go.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's hard to see. It's hard to give you an answer without actually seeing what's going on.
All right, let's.
It almost,
Yeah.
yeah, it almost looks like it's Locksmith City combined versus Locksmith Space City.
Oh. Oh wait, a locksmith plus city, and locksmith plus city. Not sure.
Yeah, interesting.
Yeah, Trenton, go ahead and submit your GBP. Well, let's talk about it next week live. All right, let's go. We have time for maybe one more before we go to our roast. Let's go ahead and let's see here. There's one of the things we want to cover. We also mentioned old SEO agencies, disavow removals. What are those about?
So I've actually come up with this quite a few times over the last probably couple of years, and unfortunately, when a lot of SEOs fire a client for whatever reason, a lot of times they'll throw some bad links at them because they're pissed off. They'll change the business name.
Delete out SEO meta titles and descriptions. Things
Yeah,
like
just completely change out your on-page stuff. Which any business owner, if you're ever working with an agency, there should be zero reason why any agency owner should ever be a primary owner of your maps listing ever.
Oh, okay.
There's no reason for it. There's no reason for them. I need ownership. I need to so that I can do my never ever. It's also very, very rarely that you need to be in there consistently every single day. So they should give them temporary access to get in there for a couple of days to do what they need to do to your profile and then lock them out. There's nothing else that is in there that they need access to for any reason. Posts don't do shit. They don't need to respond to the reviews. They don't need to do some fancy services. Give them access for a couple of days. Say, hey, are you done? Okay, and then remove their access immediately. I've seen a lot of agencies where they're primary owners. They don't, they kind of hold things ransom. They don't take things over. As soon as you cancel it, you should be able to just kind of part ways and say, you know what, things just didn't work out. Sorry, move on. But unfortunately, agencies get hot-headed and they do some pretty bad stuff.
I think that's just wrong. That's just so wrong.
The reason why I put disavow, I had an agency. This was a month ago. The client came to me and the agency disavowed every single link that they built.
Oh, man. Brian, have you ever had any of this? Have you ever had any drama with other previous agencies?
Yeah, well, JP and I were looking at one, and that's where I was saying, like, the company basically went in, destroyed basically all the on page, right? So meta titles, meta descriptions, stuff like that, and this actually had financial implications for the company, like to the tune of like not just small stuff. We're talking 5 figures plus, that this business was affected by. So that is a thing. I've seen it in the wild, and it sucks from a business owner standpoint that that you're on page and like the core foundation. Now if you're so inclined as to use like PBNs or things like that, and you feel inclined to be like, hey, well, that's my shit. The client doesn't get that, whatever. Like, that's up to you.
Yeah.
But to change their core foundation of like, this is the business. That to me is pretty unethical.
Yeah. All right, guys. We need to get to our roasting of our GBP. We have one more question here. Can you recommend a way to get GBPs for testing purposes? This way, you can try stuff without risking damages to a client's biz. Any thoughts on getting?
No, it's pretty strict. I mean, you gotta do things legit nowadays. It's pretty tough to just throw stuff up.
Create your own business, and actually do it legit, right? Start a company, right? House cleaning service, whatever, and then like you actually are branded, you have a legit business, and who knows? Maybe it converts and you make a little side money.
There you go. All right. So it's time to get
roasted. All right.
JP, let's pull it up.
Transition still.
I know. We need a little corny clip.
All right, so this one came in. It's for a pressure washing company. It's called Clearly Amazing. They have several locations. One thing I just wanted to go on real quick. Like I said, there still is some ads that show up. This is just a search query that I did. It just happens to show up on the bottom of the page for this particular one. So Google ads do show up. They just get pushed down. So clearly amazing. This is a pressure washing company out of San Diego. So I'm actually searching right now for pressure washing San Diego, California. They're ranked pretty far down. The biggest thing, they do have obviously the main categories in there. They do provide all of these services. Even on their website, they do mention things like gutter cleaning and window cleaning. So as far as I know, there really isn't a lot of other categories that would really match to what they're doing. All the ones that are showing up here do have the main pressure washing service in there. Biggest thing for me that I always want to make sure, always check out their branding. If we look up, Clear Amazing San Diego, they should show up in the knowledge panel, even though they do have multiple locations throughout the country and a couple of them in California. This is something that you should be seeing, where they're showing up in several directories and things like that. The problem that I see is not really necessarily something that you can necessarily control, but a lot of these guys do have pressure or wash or something like that in the business title. I'm not saying that you should necessarily go out and start changing your business name to have that in there, but that is going to be a huge issue just because of what everyone else is doing. We talked about this on a couple of episodes ago, that a lot of times you do unfortunately have to associate your brand to what you actually do provide in a main topical way. And in this case, a lot of these other guys are putting pressure in there. Like I said, have wash in there, different words that are actually in the business titles. Even by just adding that in there, you could put something in there. You can follow DBA in San Diego County. You can put something in that says Clearly Amazing Pressure Washing or something like that, and that you will see some boost happening pretty quickly. They are also pretty far outside of the service area as far as San Diego goes. They're pretty much dead center. They're pretty far out. Some of the other companies that are ranking, they basically kind of took advantage of putting some keywords in there. That's why you'll see like San Diego pressure washing. That's pretty far away outside the area. But this is something where they actually were able to brand, the main keyword that they're really trying to go after. Looking at the look at their profile, and by means, Brian, if there's anything you want to add, you can chime in as well.
Yeah, the thing that I tend to look at on this as well is on page 1, page 2, like, is the brand prominent, right? Before I even crack open SEO tools, what I want to look at is like what's here for the actual brand. So Clearly Amazing San Diego, Clearly Amazing. If we were to search for that, I'd want to say, like, does it have the proper socials in place? The typical things a business would normally have, right? Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, like all of those brand signals. And then we would add the geo modifier. I'd probably also look for, Clearly Amazing San Diego. Then we'd start going into location and keyword location, looking for those kinds of things and seeing how they appear and what the competition is potentially doing that I could either mimic or do better.
Yeah, there's still quite a few things that they need to add in there as far as branding goes.
Yep.
So do they have their brands or their social profiles on their Google business profile? That's something.
I think it looks like they just had one. Let me take a look.
Yep. And that I think is also a thing, like, at least for the way that I tend to approach it. Why wouldn't you want a Twitter and all this? I get it that you may not be active on it, but the big problem, going back to the negative SEO idea, is like I've seen stuff where it's like, hey, I don't like Twitter because either you're pro or against the platform, or I don't like Facebook because of Zuckerberg or whatever. I don't give a shit about any of that. What I want to do is lock down my brand and business, because if I don't, that means someone else can. And that's a part of that entity, the entity ambiguation or entity poisoning. If I can go in there and snag someone's name and modify it to whatever I want, that hurts your business. You should go in there and claim as much of that and make sure your entity and your brand is locked down.
Their website too, the URL that they're using for their GBP, it's a pretty poor page. It's pretty weak.
Yeah.
Doesn't really have a lot. I mean, don't use it. This is a pretty random map. Take this out.
Yeah.
I haven't even looked at some of the source code.
Should that be just be embed then? It should be more
Yeah,
of an
you
embed.
can just
instead of-
embed the location too.
Yeah.
That's even the case.
Instead of-
you know,
instead of like a
just-
graphic
just
like that.
Embed it directly. They're not doing a ton of, a lot of what they're matching up and what they're trying to achieve. They're not really matching their categories with what's actually visible on the page. They do a little bit, but definitely still needs a lot more. Their H1 is just, exterior cleaning. Let me take a look at what their H1 even is. So that's what they do for their phone number.
Yeah.
And then they just mentioned San Diego, California, exterior cleaning. So it's nothing that's really matching. So a lot of it, you really have to. The whole point of your landing page for your Google Business Profile is really to help support your listing, and this is an opportunity for you to really list every single thing that you offer. If we kind of go back to the previous episode where I talked about, building out this kind of local power page where you're listing, all the cities that you service, multiple service points, here's all the services that we offer within that city. And then underneath here, there's some content that I actually embedded directly on this page. But this is an opportunity for you to really list every single thing that you offer on your website, and it just doesn't do that.
Can you scroll down a little bit, JP?
Yeah.
The thing I'm looking at here as well is where's there a place for someone to convert? Because if I'm looking at, pressure washing in San Diego here, how do I contact you?
Yeah.
Right? Like if you had a
phone number,
yeah.
small.
If you had a contact form, save a click, right? Give me some reason to just, I'm interested in that. Fill out this form. We'll get back to you. Something like that where there's a conversion mechanism in place. I think that would go a long way for this page as well.
Yeah, there's just not a lot of content. There's just not a lot of information about, the service guy. It looks like this is probably the operator. It looks like maybe, I don't know if they're running a multi-location, if they're running kind of like a franchise type of model, but it definitely needs a lot more work. This is, again, you're missing a big opportunity to add in a ton of, they're talking about San Diego. Like, I don't really care. If you live in San Diego, you probably know what San Diego is all about. You don't really care about this stuff.
Is the on the left column, is that text or an image? Okay. I was thinking
these are text.
Okay.
Let's see. I think they might go to they do go to the individual pages, but like this is a pretty solid page for roof cleaning. Actually, let me go back and take a look at their. So let's say pressure washing. This is a pretty decent page layout. I mean, there's still definitely stuff you want to add in there. The roofing one was a little bit better, but I would use kind of a page like this into your location page.
Yeah, it does look a lot nicer.
But again, it's still pretty hard to get a hold of them. I mean, this is that's great and all, but it's still it's tough. It's tough for me to get
what's
a
that
hold
right
of
there? There's a format there, get an FB estimate. So that's kind of like right above the fold, right? I mean,
yeah, so let's say, what's the zip code of San Diego? 92111. Let's just see what happens.
Right. Okay, so you get this. I mean, they should basically have less clicks, right? I mean, have this right there, get the information right away.
Yeah, get as much information as you can. I mean, to have multi-step on a simple just name and phone number is like just all you need is name, phone number, service that they need.
Yeah, it adds friction, right? And there's certain instances in which you would want to add friction. Let's say it's a high-ticket item that you're wanting to eliminate a lot of the looky-loos, tire kickers, whatever. Friction's okay there because I want to pre-vet people. But if all I want to do is get you a quote and I'm interested in getting, just give me your information. That way I can get in touch with you. Even just an email, right? That would be sufficient. Like, hey, give me your email or give me your phone number. We'll get in touch with you.
Yeah.
Yeah, even
All
looking at the
right.
reviews, nobody even mentions that they even do pressure washing. I mean, there's some mentions of some, gutters and
gutters.
things like that. Holiday looks like they probably do Christmas light installation in winter months. So again,
All right.
so
We are at time, guys. We want to make sure we respect everyone's time here. Thank you, everyone, for coming by. Brian, thank you for being our special guest today.
Glad to be here, man.
And you guys, any announcements on the Red Hat SEO you guys got going on right now?
if you think you've been a victim of any negative SEO attacks, we do have a forum. You can go to our website. It's redhatseo.net. We have a forum there, and Brian and I work there, so we're the owners there. So it'll be him and I that will look at your issue. So it can be anything. If you just say, hey, I'm not sure about this, we can do website scans if there's any possible vulnerabilities, things like that. So feel free to reach out to us.
Love it, love it. And if you guys are free today in the Bay Area, check out JP and myself. We'll be having a meetup tonight. We'll have wine, snacks, and those Costco sandwiches, those Costco rolls. those rolls.
And you get to learn something today about.
And you'll get to learn something. We'll be talking about. So if you have any GPPs, if you're in the Bay Area, come along, submit it to us. We can do live audits, and we'll also help you right then and there. Last time we had a meetup, we helped a business owner set up her Google List profile and get her going. So we can do the same for you. Just come by tonight. Go to meetup.com/local marketing. Meetup.com/local marketing for more information. And I will see you guys also on Friday. Check me out on the SEO video show. All right. See you guys. Till next time.
Awesome.
Bye.
See ya.
Later.
Bye. Oh.
Hey, GBP roast, GBP roast. Sorry, you in danger. Right now, I got a flame here. This is GBP roast, GBP roast. On your Google business profile, it's about to go down. We roasting and reacting. We ain't come to play. 20 years in SEO. JP, Lambo, and Dre, bringing facts and guests. Oh yeah, we bring the dopeness. Welcome to the show. Hope your profile don't get roasted.
All right.